Welcome to the Friday edition of Juan's World, and if you tuned into my Tuesday edition, you will remember that I promised to talk about the Lenten wreaths today. Well, I'm not going to. I took another bike ride, and it's kind of the companion of the one that I did on Tuesday, so I thought I would show you that one today. And then I promise on Tuesday I will finally get around to talking about the Lenten wreath. So here's me starting the bicycle ride again in the bike shed, going out towards the road that I live on and going from there out into the main road. But here we are going out the gate by the guard, and this time we're going to turn right and go up my street to the north, and on the right hand side is a very old building. There's a couple lives in there that do various things. The man breeds cocks for cockfighting, and the woman gathers cockles to sell on the street. And if you were noticing, you'd see that there was a fire burning right outside. They cook everything over a wood fire outside on the street, which is not uncommon for great many people here in this part of Phnom Penh. And then to the right is one of my old neighbor friends. When I'm walking, I'll stop and talk to him, but right now I'm on a mission, so I'm a little bit busy. And then again on the right there's a hand cart. You'll see a lot of hand carts again today that sell drinks, sometimes sugarcane water, or sometimes cooked things of various sorts, cooked corn or bananas or eggs, and any number of things. Now we're coming up to the main road. It's an east-west road. It's called Russian Federation Boulevard, and it's hugely busy at this time of day. This was right around 7:30 in the morning, so everyone's going to work. So I'm just going to join along and give you an idea of the Wednesday traffic. Wednesday when I did it, passing a bus shelter. There is a bus route along this road now. 3 or 4 years ago there were no buses, but there are now a few. And coming up on the right are the gates to the Social Sciences campus of the Royal University of Phnom Penh, which I would like to get involved in, but it's really, really difficult. The faculty just keep very much to themselves, and there are several reasons for that. In my particular case, it's fairly obvious. During the reign of the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, all the academics were murdered, and there are no replacements still, except people who have studied abroad, maybe in Thailand or Singapore or even Australia, and returned to teach. But no one in the sociology department in the Royal University has a PhD. Most of the faculty have MAs, and some of the faculty are actually students that have graduated from the program and have become teachers with just a BA. So here I come along with my full CB, PhD, was a distinguished professor at the State University of New York, and they are not going to look very kindly on me. Even though I have no intention of doing anything other than helping them with their projects, just helping them to do their thing. But that's how it is at this point. So we're just jogging along the boulevard now, coming up to a whole series of car dealerships of expensive cars, BMW, Toyota and whatnot. Not a very attractive part of the town as far as I'm concerned, but it leads in the right general direction. And we're going to be going to a junction here in just a few minutes. On the right hand side are a whole series of hotels, very swank, expensive hotels. I've never seen any people in there other than Chinese people. Not sure what that's about, but I think it's probably because the hotels are owned by Chinese entrepreneurs. Anyway, I'm going to turn left here onto what is usually called the Japan Fellowship Road. Leads to some areas that were developed by Japanese business people. And I'm not going to turn the camera off as I did last time. I'm going to show you what the jam up of traffic during the rush hour is like. Normally I would squeeze forward a little bit more. This light is an odd one. It has 4 parts of its cycle. The traffic going north has 1 turn. Traffic going south has 1 turn. Traffic going east and west have a turn together, and then the traffic going west and turns south, and the traffic going east turning north has a turn. And that's what I want to do. I'm traveling east at this point. I want to go up north. So now the traffic going east is going in that direction. Normally I would scoot out a little bit in front because this light is extremely quick. Traffic going north and south get about a minute each, but the traffic going east and west and the traffic turning get about 15 seconds each. So you have to be really quick. So anyway, I'm able to make the turn, and now I'm going to go north, and I'm going to go north for a fair bit because I want to get to one of the pagodas that's up here, and it's kind of hidden. If you remember, if you saw the Tuesday video, I said that they have these ornate entryways on main roads that tell you that there's a pagoda somewhere down there, but you have to go down there to find it. And this is a good example. I believe the distance between the main road and the pagoda is well over a kilometer. I didn't time it or check it, but we'll see. And so this is typical rush hour traffic, and you see on the right hand side a hand cart of breakfast foods. People will stop, pick up something quick and move on. And also on the right are places where people can sit and have some rice or noodles for breakfast. Also noticing a few of the older tuk-tuks on the side of the road. On the actual road passing me are these 3-wheelers which have replaced the old tuk-tuks. The old tuk-tuks had a bicycle in front and then a sort of half open carriage in the back that seated at least 4, could possibly seat 6 at a pinch. The 3-wheelers really only fit 2 people, but that's a matter of convenience more than anything else. On the right hand side is a garden shop, and there's going to be another one coming up, selling mostly potted plants. but also a lot of ornaments, the equivalent of of garden gnomes, garden dragons, or garden goddesses. Here it is on the right, the garden place, and all seems to be moving fairly smoothly, but you'll see in very short space of time it's going to get difficult. Now we're crossing a railroad, which is a really curious railroad that I didn't know much about for some time, and you don't see many trains on it right now because it's shut down because of the pandemic. It's a railroad that runs from the airport to the north central part of Phnom Penh, and it's very cheap, and it runs I think about every 20 minutes when it runs, but it's not running at all now. I don't know when it's going to start running again. It's not running because there's nobody coming into the airport to speak of at this point. And then also coming up in just a few meters is a sort of, I don't think it's actually a river as such. It's more like a drainage canal. We're very common all across Phnom Penh, these fairly deep culverts with water in them of various depths, and sometimes the water sits in them for a long time and gets somewhat putrid, but this one's fairly clean. And there are agricultural fields not far away from where I'm riding right now, and so some of the water is runoff from irrigation. And now you'll see it gets a little bit dodgy as I have to get my way squeezed through the traffic. There's a traffic light up ahead. It's causing all this problems. You remember I said on Tuesday that traffic lights are a real nuisance in the city, that people do a lot better if they just are left on their own. 3 years ago, I used to ride my bicycle to and from the school where I was learning Khmer in the morning, and every other morning there would be a power outage, and when there was a power outage there would be no traffic lights, and when there were no traffic lights I always got to and from my school a lot quicker than when the traffic lights were working. People just pay attention in a way. I mean, they're also very, very selfish, but they do give way to other people, and they do notice other people on the road. These people all know I'm there. They're not going to let me get in, but if there's a little space for me to squeeze through, then that's okay. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just finding my way, threading the needle, and it means that both a bicycle and a motorbike are the most efficient ways of getting around the city, because you can squeeze through traffic jams like this. Like this light is going to take like 2 turns for most people to get through. If you're in a car and you come up to this light, you'll see it ahead, and it'll turn green, and you'll move up a few spots and then stop, and then it'll turn red, and then it'll turn green again, and you'll move up, and you might get through it that time, you might not. If you're riding a motorbike or a bicycle and you're savvy, you can get through it in one, as I'm kind of doing here. See, everything's moving now, and I'll get through it this time. Have to watch out for the truck on my left. Very, very common for cars and trucks to be over in the left lane and turn all the way to the right in front of you, paying no attention to the fact that you're going straight ahead. All right, so now we got another straight shot for a little while, and obviously the vast majority of the people on the road at this time are going to work, and I don't remember exactly, but I think at some point you'll see some not trucks, but motorbike drawn carriages with workmen and work tools and so forth in them. You'll also notice this doesn't normally happen. I don't usually let too many people on bicycles pass me, but when I'm taking videos, I need to be a little bit more cautious, and so I'm going steadily. I think I will pass this one, or at least we'll go along at the same pace. I have a 10-speed racing bicycle, although I don't have racing handlebars because they're not particularly convenient, because I don't want to have my head down when I'm riding. I want to be able to see what's going on. So I've got straight handlebars, and the gear shift is on my right hand. Now you see we're passing again a lot of these stalls that are cooking food or selling snacks of some sort or another. There's a whole row of them there, all very cheap. You won't need to spend more than $1 to buy, let's say, a whole bowl of noodles with vegetables or something like that. And most of these snacks are a lot cheaper than that because they're just maybe some kind of flatbread or some vegetables that have been cooked in some manner, and that won't cost more than 2,000 real. The currency in Cambodia is the real, but for most transactions the US dollar is more common, especially for anything over $1. There's 4,000 reals to the dollar, and so if you want to buy something that is under $1, then you have to use reals. They have no coins in this country, and you'll get change for US dollars in reals if the amount is very small. So I usually have a fair wad of reals because I get them in change, and then I don't spend them. And I spend dollars and get change in reals, and they mount up until at some point I just decide, okay, I've got to spend, let's say, $6 or $7. So I'll count out the reals and get rid of them. And now as we get further north, the traffic thins out a little bit because we're leaving the business part of Phnom Penh, getting more into agricultural area, and so people have already found their workplace, and this is more what riding a bike in the city looks like, not during the rush hour. It's much more pleasant and easygoing. Now I'm going to skip forward a little bit here because this is more or less the same, and I'm going to show you where I've turned around and start back because I want to head towards a pagoda. So just up ahead here I'm going to do a U-turn at a traffic light, and that means the first thing I've got to do is to get across the road, and it's fairly clear, so I'm able to make it pretty much in one shot. And I'm just going to go with the traffic. A lot of it is going to be turning left, but a few of the vehicles are going to be turning around. There we are. So now we're heading back down south, and then passing on a motorbike, you see a monk riding on the back. Very common. You see monks in tuk-tuks and on motorbikes in the morning. They're going out collecting alms, as they do every morning after breakfast. And if they have to go a distance, they'll just simply stand by the road until somebody picks them up. It's considered to be a good deed, which is rewarded within the Buddhist tradition. Part of your karma. Pick up a monk, help him on his way, maybe give him something, some food or some money, and it's a blessing to you. So by coming down this way, I'm looking for the entrance that is marked on the main road by an elaborate entryway, but you can't see a pagoda at all. You just have to take it on faith that somewhere down that road there is a pagoda. And I don't go down here too often, so I also have to take it on faith myself. But I'm reasonably certain that there's something, although sometimes I get a little worried. Now, see, doing the same here, just scooching past everybody, and I know that there's something here because I can see the entryway, and there you can't really you can just see a little bit of it. I'm just going to pass through the entryway and onto this road. I'm now traveling west, and as you can see, not a pagoda inside. This is a relatively untraveled road, at least in this direction. Most people who are going to work, of course, are going in the other direction, going east. They live out in the much more rural parts of the city to the west, and there are also some very, very large areas of apartment and condominium complexes out to the west where the land is cheap, and so they live out there, and then they drive into work each morning. So where's the pagoda? Not a chance, nowhere. I have to just take it on faith that entryway is a sign that there's a pagoda down here somewhere. And actually I know there is, although I don't come down this road very often. I don't think I've been down here for well over a year. And this is the kind of time when I'm riding my bicycle. I'm not exactly lost. I mean, I know where I'm heading in general, but I don't quite know where the pagoda is, and I don't quite know how I'm going to get back home, except I know I have to go back south at some point, and I think I'm going to overshoot the entryway to my apartment by a good bit. I'm going to have to backtrack, and so now that we get further and further west, you can see it gets not exactly desolate, but it's not bustling like the main street that I turned off. It's it doesn't have a lot of shops. It doesn't have a lot of vendors. It has a lot of building supply places. You can get bricks and cement and wood for construction and so forth, and then a certain number of condominiums. So I can't exactly estimate, based strictly on my speed and time, how far it is down here to get to the pagoda, but it does tell you that having that entryway on the main road is to some extent a cultural quirk. I mean, like, who would think to have a decorated entryway saying pagoda here, and then we go for over a kilometer and it's nowhere to be found. A few more, a couple of little breakfast nooks here I notice on the right, and a little park on the right. Very promising. It's like if this parkland, and oh, there it is, there's the pagoda, and I'll flash the name of the pagoda on the screen, and you can see the wall. I'm not going to go in this time. I think probably maybe next week or the week after I'll go in and take a look around, because it's a beautiful pagoda. It's really special. But for right now, I'm just going to go around it, and that's on the left, and then coming up are several statues that mark the entryway, including a full-length Buddha. And now it's getting more ornate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve around the pagoda. I have to watch out for the traffic because it's not dense, but people, when they're headed to work, are not particularly thinking about some foreigner on his bicycle taking photographs. So I'm going to come up to the end of the pagoda wall here. You can see it's quite big. It's very impressive. So I'm going to curve around to the left, and you'll only be able to see a little bit of it. And next week at some point I'll go in and show you inside, which is extremely ornate. And there's a gate that we just passed, and then there's another main entrance that we're just coming up to on the left. But we're going to curve around to the right, headed back west towards my apartment. And it's been raining the past few nights, you can see, so there's still some standing water. Normally there's not a lot of water in the streets in the dry season, but it does rain now and again, and there's not a lot of high quality drainage, so it stays, and if you're not careful you end up breeding mosquitoes. So now I'm just continuing my passage to the west, and I'm going to finish for now. I did continue for, I think, another, let's see, maybe 20 minutes to get back home. The whole trip was about an hour, which is normal for me most days. So if you like my videos, please like and subscribe, and I promise on Tuesday I'll come back and talk about Lenten wreaths, and then maybe a week from now, maybe on Friday, I'll come back and show you the interior of this pagoda. So have a good weekend.